In this episode, you will see a brutal attack on the king and the princess. The dreaded assassins are determined to overthrow the king and have already devised a cunning plan. Will Yuiya be able to get to the capital in time to help Lexia and her father? The pictures for the magazine turned out great. He has a lot of potential to become a star. Only a model like him will be sought after by many agencies. The directors would really like to have him in their ranks. I just have to find a way to get him interested. Meanwhile, after the walk, Yui and Kaori went to his house to study together. With exams coming up, Yui's a little nervous about the math test. Even he doesn't understand this complicated science. Then, Kaori suggested studying for the exams at Yui's house, which is what they're doing now. Kaori went to the restroom for a while. After wandering around the house, she almost walked into the room where Yui goes to the other world. He decided to tell his friend about it. He told her about the magic and even showed her how to practice it. Now it came to her why the guy was so talented at everything. After the story, he offered to let her see the other world together, to which she gladly agreed, and they walked through the door. The girl was amazed by the virtual world. She still had a lot to learn. Kaori had not bad starting characteristics, even higher than Yui's when he first came here. For the first time in a long time, the guy confessed to the girl that he seemed to be a cheater, only in the real world. He told her his past, the way he used to be. There's no way he'd be accepted to an elite academy. However, Kaori liked the new world and wanted to know more about it. Of course, Yui would have been happy to give her a tour if it weren't for the monsters that roam the dark forest. Another time, when she's stronger, they'll definitely take a longer walk. But for now, it's a little early. Kaori made a promise to the boy that she would keep his secret and show her the wonders of the virtual universe. And the guy made the girl promise not to tell anyone else about this place. Meanwhile, Lexia returned to the palace to her father. The king ordered the knight to report why the boy from the Darklands is still not before him. Also, the assassin Luna was brought to the king. She confessed to the failed assassination attempt. This made the king angry. Why is she still alive? He drew his sword to finish the criminal himself. But at the last moment, the girl dodged. This royal sword is very dangerous. If you try to stop it, it will cut through everything in its path. The princess threatened her father that she would fall out of love with him if he laid a finger on her beloved Luna. She explained everything to him and told him that Luna was no longer a hired assassin, but a royal guard. To say it shocked the king is an understatement, but if his daughter had decided so, be it. After all, she's an adult and should realize the consequences of her decisions. She has a future. She'll be ascending to the throne in the future. Besides, Luna seems loyal and doesn't look like someone who would kill the one who saved her life. After this situation, the king demanded an explanation from the knight. This girl is a skilled warrior and a most wanted criminal, a bounty hunter. He also revealed that it was Yui who saved the king's daughter from imminent death. That's great, but the news that Lexia was unaccompanied at his house and spent the whole night there made the king furious. The king doesn't allow such liberties even for great heroes, let alone some boys from the forest. He will not forgive him for such permissiveness. The knight tried to dissuade the king by arguing that it was all good, but this only added fuel to the fire. The assassins, Luna's former partners, reported to their boss what had happened. They failed to fake Luna's death after all, and her boss found out about the girl's betrayal. Turns out this evil boss wants to take the king's place, and to do that, he needs to kill both the father and his daughter. Just such an opportunity will soon arise. He has a little plan. He gave a subordinate his magic barrier. Inside it, no form of magic can penetrate, so all the mages guarding the palace will be useless. This time, they can't afford to lose. When the public finds out about the crime, they'll make heroes of themselves, and Yui will be falsely labeled as the king's murderer and executed. This way, they kill two birds with one stone. After the sports competition, the academy took a vacation, so now Yui can spend more time in the virtual world to improve his skills. And it's about time to get to the capital. It's not nice to keep the king waiting. On the way, he stopped by the first town. He doesn't have any local currency, and the easiest way to obtain it was to sell the resources he had saved up. The first thing he decided to sell was the common pepper. The merchant had never seen anything like it before and thought it was an exotic spice from some great family. So he bought the pepper for 100 gold coins. But what's the going rate? Normally, the simplest family can live comfortably on 4 gold pieces a year. Now Yui is a millionaire. The vendor also gave the traveler a guild card, which is a kind of local identification. Soon, the boy was on his way to the capital in one of the carriages. After a night, they arrived in a densely populated city. A huge palace could be seen from the city streets. Inside, it was very beautiful, with gorgeous flowers growing everywhere and everything neatly arranged. At the entrance, the boy was greeted by a knight who escorted him to the audience hall. Yui was already getting worried because he didn't even know the proper etiquette, but he was promised that the meeting would be informal. Yui bowed to the king, following the knight's lead. The first thing that came out of the king's mouth was an accusation that Yui had seduced his daughter. Yui was shocked by this accusation, as he had never even thought of such a thing. The knight and princess tried to calm the king down. This is an audience after all, not a trial. There's no need for accusation. A heated argument ensued between the guard and the king. But in the end, the king was finally able to calm down a little and recover from the rage that filled his heart. He introduced himself to the young man, and Yui hurriedly did the same in return. The king was disappointed that the boy didn't even bring a gift for the princess. That's right, Yui had completely forgotten about the gift in the excitement and turmoil of the past few days. But then he remembered something and opened his inventory. From there, he took out the royal bedding that he had obtained by defeating a boss recently. It had to be something good. The feather beds were snow white in color and very pleasant to the touch. The king misunderstood this gesture and thought that Yui was making an inappropriate suggestion to Lexia. The princess, however, was delighted, which is more than her father could say. He threatened to destroy the bed and punish the man who gave it to her. Yui was just trying to do something nice, but once again his actions were misinterpreted. Something needs to be done about this. A knight stood up for the boy, reminding everyone that Yui is from another country and may not be familiar with local customs, so he might have made a mistake. It wouldn't be fair to execute him for that. It turns out that in this country, offering a bed to someone is seen as a proposition for a wedding night. That's when Yui realized how much he had misunderstood. The king had already drawn his sword to strike the insolent man. He swung, but suddenly something dark descended from above. Dozens of assassins surrounded everyone in the royal hall. One of them activated a magical dome that blocked all magic from entering or leaving. The battle began. The knights Luna and Yui fought to defend the king and princess. The guy had no trouble taking out a couple of low-level enemies.